What is up, guys? In today's video I'll be showing you Fury Warrior Talents, Slayer to be specific in this one. Single target and also AOE. Now before you comment that I'm stupid, dislike and leave. I know that Mountain Tame does better damage, better AOE damage than Slayer. But Slayer also has some of the advantages, but we will get to that. Now, with that being said, let's slowly start. I hope everyone is doing good, and at the start let's talk about the tier piece or the tier set that you are going to get in season 3 of the War Within. Basically, you are going to, as it says, execute damage is going to be increased by 10%, and executes from sudden death have a 10 chance per stack of overwhelmed on the target to trigger a Slayer strike at 100% effectiveness. And the bonus for 4 pieces is going to be Raging Blow damage increased by 10%, and Raging Blow has a 2 per chance per stack, I don't know what is going on with me, of Overwhelmed on the target to trigger Reap the Storm at 150% effectiveness. Now, the thing to notice, this helps you out quite a lot in the raid, single target encounters and so on. But sadly, in AoE, sure, of course it's going to help you out, but not as much as Mountain Tame. And now, since we are already talking about AoE, let me show you the talents. This is how my Mythic plus Slayer build is going to look like. Now let's talk about some things that you can change. For example, here you do not have to run Thunderous Roar. You can instead run Champion Spear. Now, someone might find it better, someone not. I do think that it's better damage-wise, but the thing that I really do not like is that I have to click it, basically, to cast it. Whereas the Thunderous Roar, you basically just use it, and there's no aiming, there's no clicking, you just press the button, it goes off, and you are done. And that may not sound like a big difference to a lot of you, but to me, trust me, it is. Now, this is how the build should look like. Shockwave, an insane spell in Mythic Plus, helps you out so much. And here you can see the Slayer talents. We are running Opportunist, not the Fierce Follow Through, but rather Opportunist. When Raging Blow resets its own cooldown, your next Raging Blow deals 20% additional damage and 20% additional critical damage. Very good. Why? Because once I get to the rotation, you're going to see as for yourself. Here we are running Brutal Finish. Your next rampage after Bladestorm ends deals 50% additional damage. Now let's get to the Fury side of the things. You do not need Odin's Fury. I won't even talk about it. It's like, you just don't need it. Here, if you're just starting out, Mythic Plus, Warrior and so on, you're not 100% best with dodging and what you are doing. I suggest that you go with Frenzied and Rage. And Rage increases your haste by 15% and increases your movement speed by 10%. Meaning that all of the time you should have that 10% increase in the movement speed. But if you're a bit more experienced, I highly suggest Powerful and Rage. And Rage increases the damage your abilities deal by an additional 15%, and Enrage's duration is increased by 1 second. I'm running this. I used to run this, since I didn't play Warrior of whole Season 2, but rather a Hunter, and I just stood back. So I started with Frenzied and Rage, but the thing is, 95% of the time I found myself waiting for the boss to finish its cast so I can go back in, meaning that I just had that much more time and just didn't need this talent. And here, of course, we have Bladestorm, probably my favorite ability. We are going with Unhinged, and here we are going with Anger Management. Every 20 rage you spend reduces the remaining cooldown on Recklessness, Bladestorm and Revenger by 1 second. Revenger we do not have as it's a choice, but we do have Bladestorm. And here we also have Depths of Insanity. Recklessness lasts 4 seconds longer. Now, once we got over that, let me show you the rotation. So, the rotation is going to look something like this. Now, I know my UI is scuffed, but I just got used to these abilities being at its places and I do not want to switch anything. So, First off, let's say you are doing a big pull. You want to pop Recklessness, you want to pop Avatar, both at the same time. You want to charge in, do a Blade Storm, then you are going to do a Rampage. And basically your rage generation is going to be through Raging Blow. You always want to cast Raging Blow whenever it's off cooldown and whenever you have the opportunity. Of course, you do not want to overcap on rage like I'm doing here. Always when you have like one stack of Raging Blow and full rage or almost full, use Rampage and make sure that your enrage always stays up. Basically, you can see how I'm doing here. I do not have the Raging Blow, so I'm gonna use Bloodthirst. You only use Bloodthirst whenever you do not have anything else. Now, of course, I'm going to show you this, but I'm going to mute myself since my keyboard is very loud. I'm going to show you how this is going to look like in a pool. I mean, of course, it's going to look a bit different, but let's say here we have 5 targets. And also your AOE generation, or not AOE generation, but basically Whirlwind is going to cause your next 4 single target melee attacks to strike up to 4 additional targets for 4% damage. So you always want to make sure that you have 4 stacks up. Of course, when you're doing Blade Storm, it doesn't matter. And also the thing that I forgot to say, since we are running Slayer, whilst we are Blade Storming, we can cast Stormbolt, so always make sure to do that. I mean, sure, it's not a huge damage, but you can at least interrupt some mobs. Of course, you can interrupt them by Blade Storming also, but the Stormbolt is just going to help you even more out. So now I'm gonna mute myself and do the rotation. Now you can see, I'm going to pop my buffs. Of course, always have Battle Shout up. I'm just gonna charge in, do a Whirlwind, just to get enough rage to Blade Storm, not to Blade Storm, but to Rampage, then Blade Storm, and then you always want to keep up the stacks of Whirlwind, so your single target attacks can cleave. And I cut this short, so it's not too long. And there you can see basically the rotation. Your full idea is to always keep Whirlwind up, or basically to always have stacks. Now the thing with the Slayer, the stacks go really fast through, or as you can see, my game is a bit laggy. Now if it comes to my network connection or if it's just the game, I'm not sure. But you always want to keep count of that. Now the thing that I'm doing that may be really funny is I'm counting in my head. I'm going like 1, 2, 3, 4, then I cast Whirlwind. Of course, I always miss it sometimes, but yeah, the spec, I find it really fun. Like you charge in, you rampage, you Blade Storm, everything, you just keep popping off. And even the damage is not bad. I mean, of course, if there are 8 or more targets, the classes that are not capped up to 4 targets are going to do much better. But not to say that you are going to do bad damage anyways, or even close to it. And now I'm basically gonna swap over to my raid single target, and now let's see the differences there. The only notable difference, I mean there are more of them of course, we are running Wrecking Throw. Why? In many raids, like for example, not many raids but many bosses, this will become very useful. And like, I mean, even if you don't take this, like I went through the options, like there isn't anything better to take, like apart from this. And this like really helps you on, for example, on the first boss when he has a barrier, and even like whilst you are charging on, or whilst you are waiting for the second boss, for example, to use his cast, whilst you have to be out of the range, you can always cast Wrecking Throw. Now the whole idea here is you never cast Whirlwind. I mean, maybe you cast it if you need somewhere, but we are talking strictly single target. You also want to charge in, you want to, of course before charging in, you want to pop Recklessness, Avatar, charge in, Rampage, Blade Storm, and the idea is the same. You always keep using Raging Blow whenever it's possible. When you don't have anything, you can pop in and execute if possible. If not, go for the Bloodthirst, but other than that, you shouldn't be using Bloodthirst. Now, of course, on our first pull, after we finish our Blade Storm, we are going to use Thunderous Roar, and then you're just going to continue with your rotation as is, which I'm just going to show you right now. As in AoE, we are starting off with popping our CDs, charging in, a rampage, blade storm, use storm bolt whilst you are blade storming. You want to make a place for thunderous roar and then just keep up with the rotation. As we said, you know your priorities, keep focusing them, and the DPS will just rise, as you can see for yourself and as you are going to see in the raids as well. And there have you seen how the single target rotation is going to look like. Now, I'm not the best at the game, of course, but from the raids that I did, now someone is going to for sure look my raider IO, you're going to see that I only did one boss on heroic. But even on that one boss and every single one on normal, like I'm always in top 3 DPS, like even if there are more broken classes, like the warrior is so much fun I cannot explain to you, at least for me. And there you saw the single target rotation. Now, of course, just want to add this, if you're interested, I will be covering Mountain Tane, AOE and everything, but after I gather some more experience with it. I mean, I can just go on tell you the rotation and whatnot, but I want to give my personal experience also. And with the Slayer, that is like phenomenal. Like there is not a better feeling than playing Slayer right now. And now let's get on to the next thing. Now, let's talk about the weapons, or basically craftable items that you are going to do. Now, since this is a second week, I think, maybe I'm just lost in time, you are able to craft your great axe this week. If not, if you're maybe just starting out with warrior, you want to save to craft your weapon. Weapon is the most important thing that you want to craft, and this is how it's going to look like. Now, that is the weapon. Now, after you craft the weapon, for example, next week, I'm probably gonna take a look at crafting either a wrist or a belt. Of course, I have to choose. I have to look up which one is going to be better, but let's say, for example, we have this 701 item level waist, not belt, sorry, and you have like 680 wrist. Of course, you're going to craft the wrist, and you can see right now on the screen how it's supposed to look like. And since we talk about this, let's go over your stats, the most important ones, and so on. So for Slayer, your most important thing, I mean for Mountain Tame is also, but we are talking Slayer now. The number one stat that you of course want is Strength. Number 2 is going to be Mastery, as it increases damage done while enraged, and you are going to be enraged 99.9% of the time. Like 1% time you're going to be unlucky and not have ability to cast for a second, but you are always basically going to be enraged. Next thing up that you want is Haste, increase attack speed and spell casting speed. Fourth thing, or fourth most important thing, is going to be Versatility, increases damage and healing done by 3.5% and decreases damage taken by 1.75%. It increases damage, but also the healing done and decreasing damage is also very important. Now, I do know that my versatility is very bad, but for example, like while I was doing the Floodgate last boss, after he zaps me, like I have very big troubles surviving, and that is where basically everything that you have comes into play. In this case, versatility, your impending victory, and then you are going to be using Blood Thirst just to heal that 3% up. And the last stat, the worst one, or not the worst one, but the one that we really don't want to focus on, is Critical Strike, chance for extra effectiveness on attacks and heals. And yeah, that is basically pretty much your oh my god, why is my brain so lagging? That are pretty much your stats. Now let's cover some of the enchants. As you can see, on both of my weapons I have Oathsworn Tenacity. This one basically gives you versatility when it procs. Now you might be wondering, why am I not going for the one with haste? I mean, you can see my stats. Even if my stats were better, like that I had more versatility and whatnot, I would still be running these weapons. I just find that these enchants do the best thing for me, and hence why do I have them. Now on the wrist I have Leech. I mean, it kinda does the job, it's better than nothing. On the rings I have Haste. Why do I have here? Hey boy, trade me. Give me that money, I need it. Like, look at this, I'm 27k gold, I spent like 40k and more on this character. Let's get back to the topic. I have haste, you want 315 haste on both. Or mastery, I mean, you need to look at your stats. I told you the priority, but for example, if you have like, I don't know, 80% mastery, of course you want some haste. We also have the gems, and if you're wondering why is my gems so scuffed, I really do not like spending much gold. Sorry, but that's the truth. Here we have on the cloak, we have Chant of the Winged Grace. Every enchant you're going to see on the screen what it does. Here we have Crystalline Radiance on the chest plate. This is tier 3 because I do not think that I will be replacing this up until maybe 2 to 3 weeks. And on the legs we have 930 agility or strength and 980 armor. Of course you can go one with the stamina, it's probably better. I took this one, I had this one laying in the bank. And yeah, now we are going to cover some trinkets, what you can go for if you get it, if not, and so on. Now, when it comes to trinkets, I won't go over in depth on this because you can find very good information on the internet, and I don't want to make a 20-minute shit show just talking about trinkets, but I'm going to cover the good ones that you can get from dungeons. Now, the first one that is quite good after it got buffed is basically the Cursed Stone Idol. Why? It's a 90-second cooldown and it basically aligns very good with your avatar and is going to increase your damage quite a bit for the duration. Now, the second one that is always been good and of course is the Arakara Sack Brood. Oh my god, I think I spelled that very wrong. But basically this trinket, it has always been good for every single class, and if you have some luck, maybe you can get it. Your boy doesn't, but it doesn't really matter, I'm used to it. Also, a pretty decent one is the Ticking Sack of Terror. Your melee attacks and abilities have a high chance to attach a volatile satchel onto your target upon reaching 3 stacks, or when removed, the volatile satchel detonates, inflicting 2.5 million fire damage. I have that one, only mine afflicts 2.7 million fire damage as it's a bit higher item level. Also pretty decent one is this one, Soliak's Secret Technique. Now I don't really like this trinket, but it's good. Of course I don't have to like to something. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. Also a very good choice would be the improvised C-Forium Pacemaker, not Peace, Pace Maker. This trinket was pretty good also in season 2. Now it's also good. Of course I won't be talking about raid trinkets, but there are some very good ones and some very bad ones. Of course I'm going to leave the link down in the description where I personally read this stuff and where I even inform myself before thinking about making this video what should I look out for and what should I, you know, try to get. Now in my inventory you can see a lot of trinkets. Now I'm trying this one currently. I just kind of like the trinket that I do not have to click because I'm a lazy bastard. But yeah. With that being said, I do not think that I forgot to cover something. So yeah, that would be pretty much the end of this video. I hope this helped you a lot, helped you out at least a bit. Now if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. As I said, once I get a bit more familiar with Thunder Meat with Mountain Tane, I'll probably make a video about that as well. But as of now, this is everything that we have. As I said, really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider leaving a like or a subscribe as it really helps me out. And with that being said, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.